Greetings from Palm Court. I thought this was a better background than just my office. So we're so glad you're with us today. My name is Tara Hamilton. I'm Executive Director of University Development. So on behalf of the Office of Development and Alumni Engagement, I'd like to wish you a happy homecoming. We hope next year we will be back to our traditional format here on the DeLand campus. So today you're going to hear from the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and several faculty members who will share more about the college's recent success with Grantseeking. And then they're going to talk about some of the exciting initiatives that those grants will support. So before we get into that, I just have a couple of homecoming reminders. Tomorrow, we're going to have a presidential update and the Alumni Awards presentation, which will be at 6. Friday afternoon, the Dean of the Library, Sue Ryan, is going to give a presentation about the history of our university presidents. And then Friday evening, the School of Music is going to have an inauguration concert. And then of course, on Saturday, we finally get to inaugurate our president, Christopher Rolke, which would have normally happened last year. So we're excited for that event to take place, and it'll be live streamed on Saturday morning at 9. So just a couple of housekeeping items as it relates to Zoom. As you can see, we're on the screen, so you all have control over your microphone and your camera, and you can turn them off and on. We just ask that everyone stay muted while we're presenting. It helps with audio and feedback. And then at the end, we'll have Q&A. Everyone can turn on their cameras and their microphones if you choose. And then please feel free to use the chat box throughout the session. And if you have comments or questions, we'll be monitoring that as well. So that's all for me. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and Professor of World Languages and Cultures, Elizabeth Skomp.
Thank you so much, Tara. I would like to add my own warm welcome to the one that you've already received, and want to join the chorus of voices wishing you a happy homecoming and welcoming you virtually back to the university. It's wonderful to see a number of familiar faces and names and some new faces as well. And so we're glad that you've decided to join us on what is the lunch hour today for those of you on Eastern Time. As Tara already mentioned, and as the title of this session suggests, we have experienced a banner last couple of years in terms of grant seeking at Stetson University, and most specifically in terms of the successes that we have seen thanks to the efforts of College of Arts and Sciences faculty. Now, before you hear in detail from a number of my faculty colleagues on the call today, I want to emphasize a couple of important details. First of all, it is not as though our grant-seeking success is a brand new development that we've never experienced in the past. A number of faculty, both those on the call and others who aren't joining us today, have a long record of experience, both individually and institutionally, in successfully seeking external funding. We've simply reached a point in the life of our institution when I believe that our grant seeking and grant funding has approached a new level. One of the reasons we've been able to experience the successes we have is through the tremendous support that you as alumni and other donors have provided to our academic and co-curricular programs. And I know that you'll be hearing of some of that echoed by our faculty presenters today. They'll also give you some insight about the new directions into which they think their work and initiatives may eventually expand. So we'll ask for your patience as we toggle back and forth between presenters and just a few informative slides, but we do want this to be an interactive session with plenty of time for you to ask questions if desired at the end. So I'd like to begin by first introducing and calling on Professor Tandy Grubbs from the chemistry department. Tandy.
Thank you, Dean Skomp, and thanks to you and Amy and others for organizing this event and inviting us to take part in it. I guess is lead dog. I'll tell you about the grant that I guess Alex is going to share PowerPoint with us here, but this grant funding is coming to us from the National Science Foundation, and it's a program. Hold on here, I've got to get myself out of full screen mode. It's a program at the NSF called the NSF Scholarships in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics program. And the history of this funding program, it goes all the way back to 1998, and it was part of the American Competitiveness and Workforce Improvement Act. Congress funded, established this basically to build workforce talent in key areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, where they really saw a strategic need to encourage more students to go in to these disciplines. And one of the things that's kind of unique about this program is it not only funds students who have academic talent, but it's particularly focused toward those who have financial need. And that's a key factor for us, because we know a lot of our students coming from underrepresented groups are likely to arrive at Stetson not as financially well off. So we're able to offer scholarship supports for these students above and beyond what Stetson would ordinarily offer them. The program allows us to offer up to an additional $10,000 a year in scholarship support. And the group of faculty that came together to seek this funding, it includes myself from chemistry, Lynn Key from biology, Holly Lynch from physics, Will Miles from math, computer science, and Ben Tanner from environmental science and studies. And we are recruiting students and specifically target majors, which include biochemistry, chemistry, molecular biology, computer science, mathematics, physics, and environmental science. And not only are we encouraging these students to attend and offering added scholarship support for them, but a big approach with this grant projects, which is a 5-year program, is to engage these students in a common curriculum as a cohort. So for example, all of these students, when they would arrive, would be put in the same first-year seminar course. And so that's providing kind of a unique opportunity for us at Stetson to learn, are there benefits to actually having a lot of science STEM majors together in an FSIM, and then continuing on to like a sophomore level course, and then even into a junior seminar course, keeping them together as a cohort with like-minded students, and versus ordinarily an FSIM would draw students from every major and every program at the DeLand campus. So I wanted to give some credit to not only the faculty who kind of came together to help us get this funding, but also folks in our grant office. In particular, Sydney Johnson was really a key player in allowing us to, he really shepherded this project from idea to encouraging a team of faculty to come together and pursuing it all the way up to submission. And he's not here with us today, but thank you, Sydney, for your assistance. So I think I'll stop there. We can move on.
Thank you so much, Tandy. You'll see that we are continuing an NSF theme as we move through our next couple of grant opportunities that have been funded by that organization. And I'd now like to introduce Professor Lynn Key from the biology department. Lynn?
Hi, can everybody hear me okay? Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to share with you two grants that I've been a part of. So the first grant is what we call the Major Research Instrumentation Grant from the National Science Foundation. You can see here one of our students, Kate Doss, using this piece of equipment, which is a microscope. So we acquired a microscope that cost us about $260,000 to buy. And so it's a special microscope that can basically see very, very tiny things that you couldn't normally see with your naked eye. And so I, together with other faculty, so Holly Lynch from the physics department, Rosalind Crowder, my colleague in biology, Heather Evans Anderson from the health sciences, we wrote a grant to acquire this piece of instrument, which is normally something that's found at a major research institute. And so we brought it here to Stetson. And this has allowed us to have students work on projects that utilize this instrument. And we've actually seen success from having this instrument. So I've had students go on and present at regional and national conferences. My one student, Jordan, won Best Poster, which is amazing from a student presentation this past year. So I'm so proud of her. She worked on a project related to Alzheimer's disease, looking at neuronal cells, which is really cool. And so we're really excited about this instrument that we acquired. This instrument is now housed in a new laboratory space that was supported through alumni and donor funds. So we have new lab spaces in Sage Science Building. And so I really want to emphasize that our alumni and donors have really supported and enhanced our student research experiences. So for that, we're very grateful. For the next slide, I want to talk about another grant that I'm a part of, which is a grant for about $300,000, which is improving undergraduate STEM education. So I teach biology to both non-majors and majors. And so what I really wanted to do was bring in a very modern and new technique that's being used by scientists, also being used in medicine in clinical trials. This is a technology called CRISPR technology, which I'll be talking about on Friday at the academic showcase. I welcome you to come join me there, where I talk about this technology and how I'm bringing it into the classroom. And so together with Melinda Hall, who is a professor in the philosophy department, we wrote a grant to bring in money to equip our labs. You can see here my students in my molecular biology class looking at samples under a microscope. And so I brought in money to buy a lot of new equipment, to also bring in another postdoctoral fellow to come help and teach this new technology in the classroom. This money will also be used to train other educators. So I've developed new curricula that has actually been deployed by about 10 other universities all over the world. And so I'm going to continue doing that. And I'm excited to share the stuff that we'll develop in the classroom here at Stetson. And I, again, thank all the alumni and donors who have made all these research lab spaces available for us to use. So I'll end there, and I'm happy to take any questions at the end.
Great. Thank you so much, Lynn. As you've heard, the two grants Lynn mentioned absolutely enrich and enhance undergraduate STEM education in complementary ways. So thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
I'd now like to introduce Professor Jason Evans, who has an academic appointment in the Department of Environmental Science and Studies, but as he will share with you, much of his grant-seeking success has also come under the umbrella of the Institute for Water and Environmental Resilience, of which he is the executive director. And as he's already mentioned in the chat, he is joining us from a different area of our DeLand campus, the Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center. Jason?
Great, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity here. I think this is a wonderful forum just to really celebrate the grant seeking, and I'm just really impressed with Lynn and with Tandy and the work that they've been doing there, of course everyone else. And so this is it makes me proud to be at Stetson to see all the wonderful things that we're doing. Yeah, can we put up my slide here? So with the Institute for Water and Environmental Resilience, it's really my job to get grants. And so we have a whole number of grants that we're working under right now. And I wanted to start with the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations. So we received $300,000 just about for the outfitting of the labs that we have out here at the Aquatic Center, the Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center. So the Aquatic Center was finished in 2019. It went online, and it's just a beautiful facility. We have a workshop that's actually going on in the other room. So I have to leave right after my presentation, unfortunately, for this other workshop. But it's just a gorgeous facility. And if you're in town, please come and see us. It's an open park and it's great. And so with that, we've purchased all sorts of aquatic sciences field equipment that we've deployed in our stormwater pond, out on the lake, out in the St. Johns River, and some springs. And what's been wonderful about this is there's been training for our students with real-time environmental science data, and working with it, collecting it, which is just fabulous. And also the opportunity just to really demonstrate what we do. And so it leads to this virtuous kind of cycle to where once we have capacity, we're working with Orange County government right now in some project, with Volusia County governments. All these are wonderful, of course, for funding for the university, but also for the opportunities for our students. We work up in Georgia a bit. We're working with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And so all this is all with our lab and with our capacity to go out and actually do stormwater monitoring. And we can go to the next slide. And we've been very fortunate with the NOAA Sea Grant program, with Florida Sea Grant, which is our local state organization through NOAA, and also with a more kind of regional approach with NOAA. So we're actually leading a grant where we're the lead institution that includes other organizations like Clemson University, University of Georgia, UNC, and so we're kind of like a really, really big player with kind of small Stetson amongst these really big universities, which makes us really proud. And we actually have a pending award right now, Florida Sea Grant, and that's the workshop that's happening in the other room as well. And what's really important with Sea Grant, and this is where the support that we get from you all, from donors, is really important, because we have to have match for the Florida Sea Grant program. And so we're always looking for, okay, where do we find the match? And so we've been very fortunate with donors for the Water Institute have actually provided cash match, which Florida Sea Grant loves to see. And so a lot of our success that we've had with Florida Sea Grant, I just really credit it to the generosity of the university and with the alumni and with the donors. And so when we see this, we are proud ourselves. But again, I like to give the credit to just a wider community. And what's wonderful about these projects is they're very applied. And so there is a science aspect to what we're doing. And so we're doing monitoring, mostly with flood research, but a lot of it also has to do with planning and very applied working with local governments. So we go to county council meetings and city council meetings to go present. And we have students that do internships with the Regional Planning Council. And we've had about 20 students over the past 5 years that have done these internships. That's led directly into employment with the Regional Planning Council for about 3 of them. And also it's led to other jobs. It's just wonderful experience. And so that aspect of the grantsmanship, it's not just for the research. I say just, it really helps the student experience. And it really, that's what really makes me the most proud of these projects, is it seeing the students and seeing 4 or 5 years down the road that they look at this as really transformative experiences. So again, thank you all for your support. And I am so sad that I have to leave, but I need to go to this other meeting again.
Thank you, Jason. We absolutely understand, as illustrated by the several different awards and projects we heard Jason describe. The one success leads to another, and that includes our a busy schedule that will continue today. So we wish you well with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've heard from three faculty whose grant seeking has focused on the sciences, and I want to shift now to a different realm. And we will now hear from Professor Andy Eisen, who is connected both with our University Honors Program and the History Department. And he's speaking to us today in his capacity as co-director of the Community Education Project. Andy?
Thank you so much, Dean Skomp. As was just stated, I am in a few different places in the university, in the honors program, in the history department, as well as I'm one of the co-directors of the Community Education Project, which is Stetson University's higher education and prison program. Since 2015, Stetson faculty have been offering classes, workshops, and guest lecture opportunities at the Tomoka Correctional Institution, which is about 20 miles from DeLand. In total, we've had more than 50 faculty and staff visit our program. And in 2018, thanks to a grant from the Laughing Gull Foundation, we were able to begin offering credit-bearing classes at the prison. What I would like to talk about today is a recent grant that we received from the Mellon Foundation. I think the slide is up. The grant that we received is called Seeding Justice, Collaborative Learning Landscapes in Carceral Spaces, which is part of the Mellon Foundation's The Future of Higher Education Learning in Prison initiative. The grant will allow CEP to offer 5 new credit-bearing classes, including 2 food studies courses on sustainable food production that explore race, class, and gender in the food system. This past summer, utilizing funding from the grant, we built a community garden at the prison, which we refer to as a learning landscape, which doubles as an outdoor classroom. You can see that in the photo on the bottom right. Due to COVID, we've had limited engagement at the prison for the past year or so. And so the outdoor classroom has been really helpful to allow us to provide in-person classes during these challenging times. With the grant, we also hired a garden manager to support students' efforts at learning how to grow food and learning about food systems. And we are in the process of hiring a postdoctoral fellow in the humanities who will teach at the Stetson DeLand campus and what we call our Tomoka campus. We're really proud of the fact that CEP is the first recipient at Stetson to receive a grant from the Mellon Foundation, which is one of the nation's premier philanthropic organizations. Our ability to secure this funding was really years in the making. Our program started with no funding. We relied heavily on donor support, as well as local organizations like churches to provide funding for books and things that just allowed us to get into the prison to start. And from that funding, we've been fortunate to build on various successful grants. And of course, our students who are incarcerated have done some really tremendous things, which have allowed us to also secure additional funding to support their work, including publishing original research in food studies and gastronomica in the journal Southern Cultures. They created a traveling exhibit on slavery and Indian removal in East Florida. So they're doing these really incredible things with support from Stetson faculty that has allowed us to kind of build out the program. I know others have said this before, but I did want to take a moment to thank some of the incredible folks in the grants department. Carol Buckles, Sydney Johnston, and Sarah Kersey have all been instrumental in not only having us receive grants, which is really important, but just as important is successfully implementing them. And that takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of institutional support on Stetson's side to be able to do that. And then finally, I think I saw Rena Arroyo was here in the development office. She's been also just fantastic and came out to the prison and has supported our students as well. We're really excited about the grant that we're currently working on. We're in really great company with other recipients of the grant, including Marquette University, the University of California at Berkeley, the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Puget Sound. We're really excited about this grant. It's 2 years, and we're hoping to be able to build off of this once it's completed. And in fact, we just learned last week that we received a $210,000 grant renewal from the Laughing Goal Foundation, in part due to these other successes. And so to Dean Skomp's point, the successes in grants kind of build off of one another. And so we're excited for the future, and thank you, and looking forward to answering any questions you all might have at the end.
Thank you so much, Andy. And I do want to emphasize once again that Seating Justice Award is the very first grant from the Mellon Foundation and Stetson's institutional history. So that's tremendously important. We've made the move from the Natural Sciences Division of the College of Arts and Sciences to a focus on humanities and social sciences and Andy's comments. And we'll now move to the fourth academic division of the College of Arts and Sciences, which is education. And to that end, I would like to introduce Professor Paige Thanasu from our Counselor Education Department, where she also serves as chair. Paige?
Yes, hello, thank you. And I also extend a warm welcome to everybody. I'm happy to talk a little bit about a grant that our department has received from the Department of Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA. It's a behavioral health workforce education and training program grant. So you can see a little bit of information on the slide about that grant. So in counselor education, we train future clinical mental health counselors and marriage, couple, and family counselors. And students in our department will directly benefit from the HRSA grant for a total of 4 years. The primary aims of this grant are twofold. So first is to increase access to integrated primary behavioral health care for medically underserved populations, such as low-income and historically marginalized groups of people. Patients are often most effectively served when their medical and mental health needs are being addressed at the same time by an interdisciplinary team that works together closely. For example, if a person develops type 2 diabetes, their physical health is going to best be maintained if they make lifestyle decisions that include healthy eating and exercise. However, a person will have a much harder time making these kinds of choices if they're also struggling with depression and/or family issues. So we come together to effectively treat the client at one location. This grant also asks that we prepare our students, especially though, to meet the needs, which are unique, of those who often struggle to get health care due to financial and other societal barriers. So the second primary aim is to increase the number of counseling professionals who are also members of underrepresented groups themselves. We need more counselors in the field who come from these same underserved populations, who can best connect with clients similar to them and most easily work within the client's cultural framework. So we've actually already been working on this goal, and of our total population of 124 graduate counseling students, currently 44% identify as non-white, and a number of our students identifying as white still qualify as underserved due to financial reasons. So to meet these goals, I developed a comprehensive program that we're calling the Hatters Behavioral Health Coalition. And within this program, we are actually working across departments with psychology and health sciences faculty and undergraduate students, and also with medical professionals within the community. Grant-funded counseling students will be receiving specialized training in culturally appropriate interdisciplinary behavioral health care. And they will spend 1 year serving patients during their internships located in a primary medical setting. And whereas counseling internships are typically unpaid, the HRSA grant will provide these students each with $10,000. So there were some key reasons why Stetson's Counselor Ed program was selected to receive this highly competitive grant, with donor funding being a very important one. Our department had already begun working collaboratively with psychology and health sciences to establish a community-engaged Center for Optimal Health across the lifespan, which will be a component of the donor-funded CC and Hyatt Brown Hall for Health and Innovation. The grant reviewers at HRSA were excited about this collaborative endeavor and saw how their grant would fit perfectly with our developing center. Between the grant and our upcoming Center for Optimal Health, there will be many opportunities for our students to make the community a healthier place to work and to live. And there are also opportunities for community members to get involved in our grant program. Specifically, I'm still searching for a few more health professionals, such as doctors, nurses, physician's assistants, dietitians, and more, to assist with curriculum design and presentations for our students. And the grant provides small stipends for these team members as well. So please do reach out if you are interested or if you know somebody who might be interested. And I very much thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paige. It's clear that the HRSA grant is providing amazing opportunities both for our counselor ed students and to the community as well. So look forward to seeing that develop more fully. Last but not least, I would like to introduce another member of the counselor education faculty, Professor Jesse Fox. Jesse.
Hi, and welcome to everybody. I will be talking about the recent grant that we received from the John Templeton Foundation. If you'd like to put that up onto the screen for us. All right, thank you very much. I'm also actually going to post in the chat the project website if you would like to learn more about what is going on with this particular grant. As I said, this grant comes from the John Templeton Foundation. And if you're unfamiliar with the John Templeton Foundation funds science and the big questions of life. The Templeton Foundation is one of the largest private philanthropic foundations in the world, actually. And so it will fund regularly over $100 million worth of grants on a yearly basis. This project was born out of a 2019 strategic priority that was set by the John Templeton Foundation to focus on a number of projects related to science and religion. But this particular strategic priority focuses on health, religion, and spirituality, and more specifically about mental health, religion, and spirituality. Over the last 20 to 30 years, there's been an absolute boon of research that's come out about spirituality, religion, and health. The vast majority of that research has been funded by the John Templeton Foundation, and to a lesser extent, the Fetzer Foundation. This project builds on that foundational research that's happened over the last 20 years that has found significant links between spirituality, religion, and health. What has happened, though, over time is that there's been a gap in how to apply this sort of research to clinical settings. And so this particular project that was approved over this past summer is called the Spiritual and Religious Competencies Project. And what this grant focuses on is teaching and evaluating the services that mental health providers give to clients as it relates to the religious and spiritual dimensions of their lives. This project is funded at $5.1 million. The PI for the project is Joseph Currier, who is at the University of South Alabama. And I am pleased to say that we have a number of partners across the country that include co-PIs from the University of Maryland, Baltimore, the University of California, San Diego, Baylor University, as well as Bowling Green State University. Over the next 3 years, this project will be rolling out. It has 4 major sub-aims to the project. Stetson actually hosts, I'm really proud to say, Stetson actually hosts the largest sub-project for this overall project, where we will be overseeing $1.7 million of sub-granted funds that will be focused on developing sub-grant research projects with up to 15 primary investigators across the country. So we're very excited about this. I would also like to say thank you to all of the folks in the grants department who threw their support behind this. A number you have already heard mentioned. I'd also like to thank Dean Skomp, because she also threw her support behind this right from the get-go, and without the support of all of those people, this would not have taken place. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Dean Skomp.
Thank you, Jesse. And what Jesse did not mention when noting the $1.7 million award to Stetson was that that is the largest single faculty investigator grant award in Stetson's history. So congratulations to Jesse, and congratulations to all of the faculty that we've heard from today. I hope that you've found that interesting. Perhaps you have some questions or comments you'd like to offer now that we've moved into the section of our event, allowing for a little bit of open discussion and conversation. And we'd be glad if you're inclined to turn your cameras on. We'd love to see you, and we'd love to hear from you. And you're welcome to raise your hand in a sort of analog way or through the reaction button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or pose questions in the chat, or simply speak up if there's a lull.
I'd like to ask one for everybody that's presented this afternoon. If anybody could speak on any of the challenges that you've all had to see our current students go through, given the pandemic and the transition to in-person, to virtual, to hybrid, back to in-person, just how you've seen them adapt to those challenges and continue to do the amazing things they're doing in the classroom.
Tandy,
I could
take that.
Since I'm teaching this FSIM that houses this group of students that we brought in for this NSF STEM program, and also talking with some of the other faculty here teaching FSIMs, that we definitely are seeing an impact of the pandemic, and just the harsh realization that most of the students that we have in class who came in as first years this year, they were mostly online last year, and even a little further back potentially. And so there's a little bit of catching up that we feel like we need to do with these students. A lot of them did not have as solid a grounding in their senior year in academic preparation as most of us had the benefit of. And so we're feeling it, and how to address that is a big question that a lot of us have moving forward.
I would add to that this has been an ongoing topic of conversation as we figure out how best to support our students as we continue to navigate the pandemic. And while I believe that we've learned a number of valuable lessons about operating on different platforms, and we've developed some facility and some agility there, we also recognize the need for connectedness. We understand why Stetson's model is based on in-person learning and small class sizes, and the kind of faculty-student engagement that is common to all of our experiences on our various campuses and various locations. Thank you.
Yeah, I could also add quickly from our graduate population, we have a number of students who struggle financially. And so truly financially, they've had some challenges during the pandemic, but even continuing on to now when we're back face-to-face primarily for our classes. So some of our students didn't actually own computers. They may not have had internet at home or at wherever they were, quarantining to or residing during the pandemic. And so we scrambled in our department and with our IT department as well to try to find computers that they could, laptops, things like that, that they could borrow, hotspots that they could borrow, just so that they could attend our classes. But that actually continues even into now in our department. When a student tests positive for COVID or is sick, even not necessarily with COVID right now, or has vulnerable family members at home, and a number of reasons, they can join our classes virtually. So again, we still want to be able to provide for those students that have the real deficits financially. So I would say that that's something that showed up in ways that hadn't prior to the pandemic, particularly.
Thank you so much for that additional context, Paige.
Paige mentioned the new Brown Hall that's currently under construction. So Dean Skomp, I didn't know if maybe you could provide just a brief construction update and maybe estimated completion of that project.
Absolutely. I'm happy to say a few words about that. For those of you who are in or around DeLand, or for those of you who are in farther flung areas and might have been looking at the construction webcam, and I expect that we could put a link to that cam in the chat, you know that there has been tremendous progress made in the last couple of weeks. So after the slab was laid, we began to see a great deal of visible progress. So we still haven't ruled out the possibility that we'll be ready for August 2022 occupancy. But as some of my colleagues on the screen know, unfortunately, we are not immune to the global supply chain challenges that are influencing other construction projects and purchasing, not only within the United States, but elsewhere as well. So we're in the process of making contingency plans in case our timelines are pushed back a little bit. But as of this event, we have no definitive reason to think that we would not be able to inhabit the building in fall semester 2022. So, and for those of you who have not had a chance to read in detail about the CC and Hyatt Brown Hall for Health and Innovation, I'll just emphasize to all of you that, of course, it will be connected to our current Sage Hall Science Center and will house a number of different academic programs, including, but not limited to, health sciences, environmental science and studies, public health, sustainable food systems, and counselor education. You of course heard Paige speak a little bit about an incredibly exciting interdisciplinary effort that we are working on, the Center for Optimal Health Across the Lifespan, which is going to draw wonderfully on our existing faculty resources and areas of expertise, create plenty of opportunity for our students by way of experiential learning opportunities. And also, I think our community will derive tremendous benefits as well. Thank you for the question, Tara. Any other questions or comments either about what you've heard today or the broader context of Stetson? We'd love to hear from you if those questions or ideas pop up at a later point after you've had a chance to reflect on what you've heard today. I want to thank each and every person on the screen for joining us today. And I hope that what you've heard gives you confidence about Stetson's future, makes you proud about what we have achieved, and hopeful that more of the same will come. To that end, I do want to highlight for all of you that 2 days from now, Friday, November 5th, is Stetson's Founders Day. And I'd simply like to add a couple of words of encouragement to all of you to consider participation in making the Stetson of tomorrow a place that can welcome, encourage, and educate new generations in the same excellent way that we have done in the past. So I hope you'll avail yourselves of the opportunity to participate in various other homecoming activities in the coming days as well. And again, it's been wonderful to see you today. Tara or Alex, any closing remarks from your end?
I'll just echo, thank you all for joining and participating in this and all the homecoming events. We're very grateful that you all have taken time to spend some time with us and to hear from our wonderful dean and faculty who are doing amazing things in the classroom with our students and just continuing to support the great things that they're doing. Our students have adapted tremendously in the last year, and everybody continues to do such amazing work. So I thank you all as well for taking the time to present with us and for continuing to support our students in such a wonderful way.
Certainly. And maybe as a final word, I'll say that there are so many different ways in which your support meaningfully contributes to Stetson, whether it's time, energy, expertise, financial resources, and we are so grateful for each and every one of those areas. Certainly we could not do it without you. Thank you. Take care and be well and have a wonderful day. Enjoy homecoming. Bye-bye.